I do look like I'm not okay, don't I? I've just been like I've been working on a spreadsheet and it's about to rain, so it was all dark, and then I feel like my eyes are all dry, and then I like looked, I don't know. Yeah, I'm better now that I'm with you guys.
Shake it out.
Yeah, shake it out.
Dawn, take her through a little warm up.
That's right, like shoulder shrugs back.
Yeah. I know that neck tight thing when you're hunching over a spreadsheet.
Yeah. It takes its toll after 8 hours or 9 hours or 10 hours.
Or one.
Or one. Yeah. I've been here since 7 a.m. So yeah.
You're leading too though, right?
I'm leading a big workshop this week. Yeah.
It's a different position to be in.
Oh, I thought it was just Monday. I didn't realize it was all week.
No, it's Monday. Well, Monday through Friday. Tomorrow's the last day. Yeah. So it's a lot when people are, I don't know. An online meeting too is like, you have to really pull out all the stops and be very, present, engaging and all of that. So.
Wow.
Anyway.
You've probably already said, but what is the main theme that you're leading for your work? That's too long. Okay, let's not talk about
No, it's funny.
I got something else.
Wait,
No.
we want force self to see it.
All right. We'll just forget that question.
No, that's okay. I mean, it's good for me to be able to articulate it, I think. So I work for a big international NGO. So that means that we manage donor projects in, I think, 50 developing countries. And the portfolio that my department manages is probably about 500 projects, totaling probably about $800 million a year. And in places that can be difficult to work, like Haiti, where we're currently under, basically everybody's at home. Yeah, exactly. And Yemen, and and easier countries as well. So we've got about probably about 250 people in my division, and maybe 4 or 5 of us sit underneath the vice president, and we're responsible for raising money and then overseeing the reporting and requirements to the donor. And then a large number, probably about 130 of those people, provide technical assistance to those awards. So usually in a non-COVID, they'd be like flying all over the world and helping out with projects and stuff. And so my role is kind of this catch-all cross-cutting role. I'm called Program Quality and Impact, which means basically you do anything and everything to make sure to problem solve when stuff isn't going well. And so I have a really just a very in many ways, the good part is a very dynamic job. Like I do something different literally almost every hour. So it's good. And the workshop that I'm facilitating is twice a year. We bring in 25 leaders from country offices, and we call it Engagement Week. And we basically organize people getting together in different forums to build relationships, because we all work together, right? So, but they're in the country where they work, and we're all here sitting in DC. So it's always, I've had this role twice a year. I'm going on 5 years, so I've done it a lot, and this is the third time that we've done it remotely. But the whole purpose, they're high level people in the organization. It's like the directors of our country offices, and then it's like my boss and my CEO and my colleagues. So you're trying to use every hour. So usually for every hour of content, I would say, we probably do 3 hours of prep to make sure that everybody's kind of like, what am I doing here? And
makes it relevant.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure on you.
Yeah. And then there's, you're trying to always do things like, let's put them in a breakout room. Let's make them do a jam board. Let's do, stuff like that. So it's always like the logistics of it is always, you're trying to make that seamless. And so it's good, but we're on day, we finished day 3 out of 4. And this year, just to spice it up, we decided we should co-lead with our colleagues in the UK. So they usually do their own and we do our own. And we decided, oh, let's do it together, which actually has been, I think from the participant side, of course, they just want us to do it together, right? But that means for every session, then, people who, my colleagues in the UK sometimes don't even know my colleagues in the US. So a benefit is they've all met each other and now they work together and they're like, oh, we should talk to each other more often. I mean, globally, Save the Children has something like, I don't know, 50,000 employees. Like, we're a huge organization. So, it's not uncommon for people to not know each other, but, again, like I'm just a real believer in like relationships is what gets stuff done. And particularly when you're doing things that are as difficult as what we do, like trying to address poverty, in Mozambique, responding to a cyclone. Yeah, it takes people and relationships, right?
Yeah.
So it's
you
rewarding in that way, but
think that you'll do it again now with UK in the
future
years, or do you think that
I don't know. I think we're going to have to debrief. We actually did it. There's two separate kind of, there's a headquarters in London, and then there's a group like my organization, Save the Children US, that does the fundraising and project manage also in UK. So the UK group that we worked with that has a similar role as us, that coordination worked out quite well. We also were trying to, the first week was led by the London headquarters and the second week by US and UK. We had a real mismatch with the the headquarters people, which is funny. And I like got so mad. I like went to my boss. I was like, I'm never doing anything with them again. I'm so mad.
Stomp.
Yes, I stomped around, and then my boss was like, whoa, you don't get mad that often. So I'm gonna like, he likes to kind of play the hero. So he like stomped around and told, the big bosses of the headquarters, like, hey, my staff's mad. And then
A polite way to put it.
yeah, then last week we had to have, some restorative meeting, like what went wrong. And it's funny, one of the things that I have like on my computer that I know where to access is a document that's called How to Apologize. And I send it not infrequently to my colleagues when there are these kinds of things where people aren't working together well. And both sides need to not be defensive, but just apologize and say, like, I acknowledge that you're upset. I'm listening to you and hear what I did wrong. And here's what I'm going to do to try to not do that in the future. That's all I wanted, right?
Yeah.
But instead I got like an hour of like all the reasons why they did it the way they did it. No, like no sense of like, it was one of those like, I'm sorry you feel that way, but here's all the reasons we did it. And I'm like,
and that's called collaboration and give and take and middle of the road, like all that stuff that makes things work better, right? As opposed to sticking to
so it's funny that you asked, will I do it again? Because I'm like, not with those people.
Yeah.
we'll see. I don't know. I'm generally like, I don't remember bad stuff. So next year I'll be like, oh, that Camilla, she's lovely. Of course I'll do something with her. And they'll be, wait a minute, that didn't work out last year.
Maybe you need to make a little note to yourself about the people.
Exactly.
Or the reasons that you might not want to do it.
Reminders.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
Yeah. Always growth.
So that's what I do. It's funny to be like sitting here working on all these international programs, just like at your desk, right? Like connected by Zoom and all that.
Not even an office in your house.
Yeah, not even an office in my house. Or I mean, it was already weird enough to like be away from the countries where you're working, and now I'm like even further away. I don't see any of my DC colleagues. But
fortunately you have all that experience, which enables you to to do your
I
job.
guess so.
well.
I can envision that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, I can
Yeah, you have
envision
that
that kind of
experience.
stuff.
It's just weird for you.
Yeah,
Everything
it is weird for me.
happening like that.
Yeah.
I was talking to a client today who works at Fred Meyer Corporate. And so
Oh, that's a
they-
grocery store, right?
yeah, so Kroger's, so think Kroger's. So
Oh,
apparently
okay.
they're doing this HR meeting every week. Most of the topics are, you know, around the vaccine, and they're basically having this huge debate about going back into the office. So they're piloting a group of people going back into the office twice a week right now.
Mm,
And with the idea that in September that would roll out across Kroger, which would include Fred Meyer and all these other grocery chains that they own. There's how many ever, there's 20 grocery chains. It's huge. And, but there's just all these different variants of opinions because you know, for the consensus, everything's still working really well.
They'd rather work from home.
And they
Some
can't,
people.
they can't come up with a good reason to put them back in the building of which they came from. And so it was kind of interesting, like you just saying that, she's saying like, I don't need to go back in. Like for your job, you would have to go, you want people back in your places of work where they're like, everything's working fine. And wouldn't it be benefit to the company just to leave us at home? But you know, I don't know if they're stuck on an old idea of leaving,
Right.
you know, being in an office, but she's like,
They're
there's,
trusting their
it's not like
employees.
they're saying, we want to put you back in September because there's production problems, because it's costing us too much, because she's like, I get more done in my job here, you know, and that's the consensus in general. So
yeah, I would say most of our staff want to stay working from home. I would say less than a third want to start coming back into the office. And it has nothing to do with COVID or COVID risk.
No.
It's completely preference. And then it's really
Yeah.
interesting how different managers, I think it is an issue of trust, or maybe trust and preference. Like some managers are like, no, I want my staff need to be in, you know, they want them in the office all the time. And others are like,
Doesn't
you
matter.
know,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
it doesn't matter, or it matters more what works for people's lives than it does for my preference. I mean, that's kind of like, I would like my team all in the office. The truth is my team is all over the world. So we could not be in the same office if we wanted to be. So we're remote no matter what, or distance, but I want to go back into the office.
Well, because there's
Yeah.
also that nice thing of separating home from work. So when you're come
There's
home from work, you're
that,
like this.
yeah.
So
Plus, I'm
assuming
a social person, as you guys probably have figured out.
You coming off a full workday and doing this? Yeah, that's very clear.
But it's different on the computer.
Yeah,
versus-
it's just interesting, like
Yeah.
what that'll look like and how people will do that. But I didn't really think about it being a personal level on this. In this example, it sounds like it's just coming down in from this sort of blanket thing. Like we're going to rotate people through every 2 days, 2 days a week. There'll be a different group in there. So it'll be.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what the pandemic people are saying, because I've told you before, we have like an in-house pandemic person just because we have that capacity to, you know, respond to
Sure.
pandemics. And so, you know, he's giving that advice, you know, the 2 days a week that you kind of rotate through. I mean, anything you do to get less people crowded in a space.
Yeah. And I think that's what they must be following some sort of like guideline out there. Kroger must be looking at somebody
Yeah.
to say that, you know, because you do hear 2 days a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he kind of opened up a can of worms apparently because he's doing it live. They're doing this live face stream. And so he basically had to shut the talk down yesterday because people were just getting all like upset about going back in. And I was like, wow, that's like drama online. Like, she's like, I just have never seen in the office culture where people were just being just pretty attackful and opinionated and just like,
Yeah.
he's like, we're shutting it down. But on a happier
Well,
note,
that's the good thing about Zoom is you could just be like,
Yeah,
end
that's
meeting,
true.
bye.
I'm sorry, Chris and Dawn, I'm muting you now. You can listen, you can't
Exactly.
talk.
Let's go into breakout rooms, shall we?
Or break off rooms,
Yeah,
yeah.
break
break
off
off.
rooms.
hey, look what I did today.
Are those,
Blueberries.
you picked all
Ooh,
those blueberries? Wow,
Yeah.
that is a lot of blueberries.
That's a lot of blueberries. Oh, that looks gorgeous.
$20 worth of blueberries.
What?
That was cheap. That's cheap. That's a lot of blueberries for only $20.
Oh, you
They-
paid for them. You didn't pick them. Oh, you picked
I-
them, but you
I
paid for
picked them
picking
and then
them.
I still had to pay
Oh,
for 'em.
You
Okay.
pick them and then you pay by, oh, but
Yeah,
I'm
by the
sorry, a
pound.
little thing of blueberries at my farmer's market costs,
Yeah.
I don't know, $4 or $5 for just like a
Exactly,
little
that-
one.
I
That's
was just
exactly
thinking
what I've
facetious.
seen them, like the little pint, or what are they called? The little pints, I guess
Yeah.
they're called, the little paper cup things.
Yeah,
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 those are
yeah.
like $4 to $5.
Yeah,
So for that to be 20 is like, and they're so good.
and they're right.
and-
Yeah, I mean, you can go get them at like Walmart or something,
Yeah,
but
they're really good.
Yeah,
they're not like that. Yeah.
No,
and we know that Dawn ate just as many, like when I was picking, it was like 5 here, 5 there, 5 here.
Yeah.
5
How do they stop you from eating?
Hey, I'm sure they build that into the price. Like, there's no sign that,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
don't eat. They're probably like, okay, like if someone picks, a pound, they're probably eating 1/10 of a pound, or, yeah, I'm sure they've calculated that into the price. How do you stop people from eating?
there's no way that someone's eating that many. Well, there's 3 of them. That's a lot of blueberries to eat.
That was only, this is me and one and half of someone, yeah, it was a little bit, but I think they must build into it. Because you think of like I've been to strawberry farms and blueberry farms, and I mean, you eat your full share. I'm in for the lion's share, but I'm sure that they're counting that in.
Hmm.
If I was a farmer, that's what
Yeah.
I would, instead of charging $4, I'm gonna charge $4.50. But yeah, they're so, I mean, this is early, Dana, right? Like this is, I mean, these are the early blues that I pick, so they do tend to come in early, but I think they're still a good week to 10 days early.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've noticed that with all of my flowers in my garden. They bloomed so early, and now I'm like, wait a minute, what am I gonna look at for the rest of the year? Because they're all dead
They are all dead.
now.
Did you put
Yeah.
in zucchini and stuff? I picked like 4 zucchini and 3 cucumbers last night.
Already.
I have some pumpkins growing, but they do seem to be growing faster than they normally would.
Yeah.
And they were accidental pumpkins, actually, when we sold the canoe.
Volunteer.
Well, I think what I did was I threw several pumpkins into the compost heap, which is not closed. And then over the last year, we cleared out like a wood pile and everything, and we sold the canoe. And underneath the canoe, I suppose, there had been some vermin that were maybe feasting on leftover pineapple or pumpkin seeds or whatever. Anyway, that's where they came. I know so it's a surprise. We'll see what happens.
Well,
I did put up.
Dawn has quite a few little surprises in her compost.
Do you?
So oh my gosh. So Laurel, the big one there. So I have a big plant.
There was a
some
big
sort-
mystery plant that looked like a squash.
So now I think it might be a watermelon.
Or pumpkins, so we're not sure.
No, I don't know my plants, but now it's getting green and it has stripes on it. And it's like a little bit of an oblong, so it kind of looks like a pumpkin, but I'm like, well, it could, morph into an acorn squash, maybe.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So-
And
It's
what
like
color was the flower?
They're all yellow. I don't know
Okay.
if pumpkins and watermelon yellow. I've never grown a
Flowers.
watermelon.
I haven't either.
I don't know, but it's been very exciting. So every day we go out there, I was like, look at it's bigger. Now it's round. Now it's green.
Mm.
And it's
I have Craig and I both have the plant app on our phone.
Oh yeah, I've
Um,
got that plant app too.
I love it. And I was curious. That was how I mean, I knew it was a pumpkin. I was looking at it like, this is a pumpkin, but I took a picture of it and I identified it anyway. So do that.
I
see
did.
what
It
it
calls it a
says.
squash. It calls it a squash.
It just called it a squash. That's it. That's rather
And then
generic.
like I scroll down and then I'm like, oh, there's a watermelon. Oh, so
Yeah.
I don't think it doesn't know.
It's
Hey,
maybe it's too
Rosaline.
young yet.
Rosaline, I've
Sorry.
been cooking with a lot of zucchini recently because it's just abundant right now. And the other day, Peter complained about it. And he goes, what is this again? And I was like, just pretend like you're in Oxford and it's a fucking courgette. Because they put it in everything. You could not go out to eat during the summertime in Oxford without having courgette something.
Yeah.
What is
Because
that?
it
I
was
thought Funny.
What is
zucchini. Because
courgette?
and well, it's a zucchini. They call it courgettes in
Oh,
Europe.
Sounds so
I
much
guess.
sexier.
And it doesn't taste any better, though, does it? It's like it's. I mean, I think in France it's nice because they have it in ratatouille, but it's boiled to a pulp in England. I mean, because Kate did this beautiful, when Kate and Laurel and Nita, we all went over to my parents' cottage by the sea. Kate like just cut them lengthwise and put them into the oven with olive oil and salt. Oh my God, they were the best zucchinis ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the way to do
there's
it.
something about them if you cook them wrong that they're slimy, aren't they? They're like,
Yes,
like they
they
slide.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Slide
they can
into
go
the edge of
horribly
your
wrong.
plate.
Yeah.
I've had them grilled. I've had them
Yeah.
grilled before where they're cut in long slices and they
That's
can.
a great idea. I have a lot of
Yeah.
zucchini. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put them in the
Yeah.
oven.
So the inside joke is that if you ever get tired of it, just call it courgette.
Yeah, definitely. And courgette flowers, the flowers are really nice in like fried and kind of stuff and that. But yeah, no, I think it's because they come out of people's garden. I think they grow pretty easily in England as well this time as well. And so
Yeah.
Yeah.
people still think here that they're quite exotic, that they're kind of Mediterranean. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's so
they're
funny.
just-
That keeps them
they're like-
special.
yeah, like aubergines, like eggplant. They're
Mhm.
kind of,
Where are zucchinis from originally?
I think Italy, is it?
I don't
Sounds
know.
Italian to me.
It sounds Italian, and then
Zucchini.
courgette.
A rotini zucchini. Yeah.
Courgette would be the French word for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
All right.
that was
Start-
just my comment on.
Courgette bread is, or zucchini bread's lovely.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Oh.
God.
And that's what happens with ours sometimes, but if they get
Yeah.
too big. or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
They'll
made
make a
relish.
lot of bread though.
And
I've made
cake,
relish.
yeah.
I've used
Oh,
it as
yeah.
a substitute for
Yeah, that'd be nice.
cucumber.
Relish. Yeah.
Mhm. And if you
Yeah.
use like, when they're really, not the little ones, so I've used the massive ones that you just leave on the.
Like the size of our arm.
Yeah, you forget, you don't look under the leaf for like 3
Yes.
days
Right,
and suddenly
exactly.
it's like, oh
You're
my
like,
God.
Where did that come from? But yeah, it makes good relish. You just put it with green pepper and onion and it's just different.
Or we have
Yeah.
zucchini bites.
No, we don't.
We have zucchini bites.
No. Mm-mm. Mm.
So my son has the Rona.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Are you
yeah.
sure?
is
I
he?
was, you look really tired, Ro. You must be.
Yeah, no, he did a second lateral flow.
What does that
and
even mean? Lateral flow? What do you mean?
Lateral flow is the fast one, the rapid test.
Oh, mhm.
And the PCP is the
Is it-
more thorough, but the lateral flow, I think some new evidence came out of the University of Oxford today or yesterday saying that,
Right. They're getting better and better.
yeah, the lateral flow is now, especially
If you get a
can-
positive, it's not a false positive. I think it's more
Yeah.
likely if you get a negative, it's a false negative.
Yeah.
So he's had a positive.
Yeah, his buddy, I was saying to Laura, his buddy came around to watch watch the football final, the soccer final on Sunday night, and another friend, and then Amelia invited her friend round. Neil
Oh,
went
goodness.
out to watch the football somewhere else. So Amelia, who's still at school, Amelia and her friend have had to immediately isolate. And they probably won't get back to school now before the summer holidays. And she had an art exam today. So that's a
Shit.
complete pain. And then Euan is at work. So he was going to have 2 days off work anyway. But obviously he has to isolate now he said 5 days, but it's not 5 days when you actually have corona. It's longer, right? I think it's 10. And then
I thought
Neil
it was
going to
7 days after you're no longer asymptomatic. Or you're no longer symptomatic, I think.
When are you no longer symptomatic?
Like when you don't have symptoms of corona anymore.
Okay, well, he's.
I
Could be
think
a
it's
long
7
time.
days after that.
So he only started getting ill this morning, feeling ill this
Oh,
morning.
gosh.
So, and then Neil was going up to Scotland, and I'm in Ireland, of course, so they were on their own. So then Neil got on the train this morning, despite it being an issue yesterday, because they found out on Monday that their friend had it. And so immediately isolated. Euan stayed at home, but Amelia's has no symptoms yet, has come up negative on the tests. But the idiot friend, it's just the idiot friend. So then, so Neil's supposed to be kayaking in Scotland for 6 days. So kind of stupidly, he got on the train this morning. 'cause
I
he's
hope he
terrible.
doesn't get sick while he's
He-
kayaking.
No,
That
no,
would
no,
be terrible.
no, but he came back because then Ewan got really
Okay.
upset that he now has COVID and there's nobody looking after him.
Oh.
Even though he's 21. But anyway, so Neil got off the train just before Scotland and then
Shit.
hung around and then got another train back down again and is home now. But also, even though Neil's been vaccinated twice, you know, there is a tiny, tiny risk that he's been in contact with somebody, and he's gone up to Scotland to see his 91-year-old mother. And potentially he's going to stay in our friend's house, and the two men were then going to go off kayaking. So I was like, I know this is a tiny, tiny risk, but you can't do this. You
Yeah.
can't go and see your mother, you know, even though
Yeah.
legally he's allowed to do what he's doing. Even weirdly, the other people in the house, even though he's in the house with the kids, they have to isolate, but he doesn't have to isolate because he hasn't been in contact with the zero patient. He hasn't been in contact with the first guy. It's a bit loose.
Yeah, but he's
So,
been in contact
yeah,
with
I don't-
Euan.
Yeah, but if a person tests positive, then the other people who they've been with must test and must self-quarantine. But the people who live with them don't need to. This is obviously where the system is falling and fucking apart, because that doesn't make any sense, right? It's actually a thing, no, because we looked it up. Ewan and Amelia were with Freddie,
With patient zero.
with patient zero. So they must have tested. But
That was a good way to, yeah.
yeah, but so they're patient 1 and 2. Neil, who lives with patient 1 and 2, can do a test, has to do a test, but doesn't have to self-isolate.
That does seem a
So-
little
Yeah, but
weird.
doesn't Ewan become the new patient zero now?
Well, obviously, because poor old Freddie's not really patient 0, is he? He's patient
Right.
10 billion.
Yeah, right, exactly. He's patient zero for you guys, but
Yeah, not for anybody else.
yeah, it just seems like then Ewan becomes patient zero since
Well,
he's positive.
I did try to say this to Neil, that he couldn't really, I mean, as soon as the kids they all find out, they all went to their separate rooms, and like Neil cooks the food and leaves it and they come and get it, and they're
Oh
in
my
separate
God, how
bathrooms.
miserable.
Yeah.
Rosalie.
How much longer are you in Ireland for?
I'm in
She's
Ireland
not
until
going
the-
back.
Later point by 2 weeks.
No. That's good though. Lucky you.
Yeah, no, I'm here till the 5th of August and I ain't leaving.
Good. No. Good job.
Yeah, but I feel bad. I feel bad for them.
I
Yeah.
do feel
Yeah,
bad
for
for them. That
sure.
is so, oh,
You know, and the weather is lovely, and like Amelia wanted to go swimming with her friends in the river, and oh God, it's just, you know.
Well,
Oh,
it
well.
sounded like a big trip for Neil too. That's a lot to say no
Yeah,
to.
this is his only break that he's had like this year,
Oh,
and so I think
gosh.
he's a bit disappointed. Oh well, still,
oh,
that'll
shit.
help us. That'll help with my campaign to push for coming to Portland for Christmas. So.
Right, always. Yeah, we're already, Kate has already located the one Airbnb that has 4 bedrooms that both our families could stay in.
In Portland.
Over Christmas, yeah.
Where is it?
It's down near Hawthorne,
Oh, perfect.
which I only know because I went to the Safeway there not knowing there was a
Yeah.
Safeway closer to Kate's house. So I know Hawthorne very well.
Yes, there's much-
That's good. That's
much
where
closer.
Emily and Dawson live, just off Hawthorne. They live like 2 blocks off Hawthorne. So
Yeah, this
maybe
is a couple
you can
blocks
stay-
off Hawthorne, and it's a 4-bedroom apartment. Like
Oh, wow.
it doesn't look like it's in Portland at all. It's like very, I mean, I shouldn't say that, but it doesn't look like the Portland I know, like, you know, cute
Yeah.
old
Yeah,
bungalows.
it must be
It's
one
like
of the
a-
more, the new modern ones that they've just put up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
That's fun though. That'll make Emily and Dawson really happy to know that you guys can't be that far off. They can just walk over and bother you.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We need to give it another couple days to let the plan settle. Yeah, Rosaline, but
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards just booking that Airbnb because it has a cancellation policy where you don't have to pay anything. So
Up to 2 weeks sometimes,
Yeah.
right? Like up to 2 weeks
I know,
before.
Yeah.
I know it's months away, but you know, things have gone a bit crazy here now as well with.
Yeah, I'd book it now if I were you and just, you know, I mean,
Get on it.
well, the flights are also filling up.
Yeah.
It looked like flights from the UK were actually more available, but like a flight from DC or even Chicago
Yeah.
are starting to fill up now for Christmas. So
so many people couldn't travel at Christmas last year. I think it's going to be insane. So
Yeah.
I'd grab everything while you can, because Airbnbs in Portland, a lot of them were shut down. And I mean, you know, obviously all of them were shut down for a period of time, but a lot of them never reopened. Like my friend has rented hers out to actual renters. She's like, I'm not doing that anymore. It's too much trouble. Yeah.
I mean,
Do
the
it.
only thing is, you know, will there be another variant? I mean, I don't mean to be,
Of course there will be.
I've always been overly optimistic about travel, you know, but I was like saying last year, wasn't I, Laura? I was like, oh yeah, Christmas, let's all go to Portland.
you
a
are
year
like,
ago.
no.
And now that I see what's on the news, like now Europe Britain has like stopped travel to the Spanish islands, even though it only allowed 2 weeks ago, and now they've shut it down again. Put them on the amber list, not shut them down, put it on the amber list.
If you guys do decide to book that, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, I usually buy travel insurance when I travel. That was pre-pandemic, and pre-pandemic travel insurance had a clause in it that said that any pandemic would cancel your travel insurance. But if I remember correctly, I think they've rewritten that.
Well, that's a good idea. We should look into
Yeah.
travel insurance as
Yeah.
well. Leslie.
And look at the reasons for cancellation, because I think that the Travelers and Allianz, I think that they said they changed it. I'm not sure exactly how they worded it, but you know, they're not going to have any business at all if they try to use a pandemic as a clause to keep people from being reimbursed. So, you know, and to me, $60 per traveler is worth it if you know that you're going to be, if there's any possibility for being delayed or cancellation. And it just seems like now is worse than ever.
I learned that on my trip through Denver. I was
Boom.
like, I know I'm so hit or miss on travel insurance. It's kind of like, if it's offered to you, I'll buy it. Well, and it was, you know, I looked, I was like, nope, didn't have it for that trip.
And it depends too. Like when you're booking your ticket and they offer you when you're checking out, you know, travel insurance, that travel insurance doesn't always include a hotel accommodation.
Right.
You know, they'll waive
Right.
fees for you, but you're still going to sleep on the floor at the airport.
Yep. Unless you're friends with Kate and Dana, who find you the the airport hotel.
Did you get stuck in Denver, or is this some other?
I got
trip?
stuck in Denver for 26 hours on my way out to Portland.
To Portland?
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I missed a whole day of my vacation. Yeah. So I was they said it was weather related, but it must have been something between Denver and the East Coast, because we were 2 hours delayed getting into Denver, and they kind of said on the flight, like, everybody's delayed, you'll be fine. We all get off the flight and it's like, nope, all our flights have taken off. And so they had to rebook. I mean, it was a nightmare in this airport. It was an absolute nightmare. I mean, there were easily 200 people in the United line.
Oh man.
You know, and that is when
That's
I step out of line and I get on the phone and I find myself a hotel room, go to the hotel room, and then get on the phone with United and book my return.
Right.
You know, with a glass of wine in my hand.
Well,
because-
and they had already automatically rebooked me. I didn't want to believe that it was the next day. I was, you know, thinking I could get on something earlier, but I just sat there doing it all on my phone while you guys were making me a hotel reservation. Yeah, it was nuts. Anyway.
I hate that vibe.
Anyway, shall we get going?
Yeah.
Yep, it's nice seeing you. Goodbye.
Combination.